70s to the 80s to the 90s to the 2000s. I mean, I would sort of like to hear from all of you. How do you see that the band has changed?
There's a progression, but yet they came back around, I think. You know, what they started with, they musically progressed, but then again, where they're at as far as the show and what they're trying to do with it, I think it's back to the beginning, when they're really trying to put something out there for the fans.
Yeah. Dennis?
You know, fans know and have better opinions about this than I do, but I mean, yeah, I was there, you know, I saw it happening. I think they kind of just went with the times. I mean, you could see the 80s look versus the 70s look, and it was really very much the 80s. You know, when they cut their hair, like the elder pictures and stuff like that?
Yeah.
And I didn't mind that look. I thought it was okay. You know, I thought they were moving along. Not necessarily forward, but moving along.
Ken?
Of course, that's what they want, yeah. But interesting for me talking to fans. I've done a lot of interviews, and a lot of fans ask me a million questions, and most of which I have no answers to.
Right.
But they have opinions, and they're all different. I know there are fans who love that Elder era, even love the Elder album. Other fans cannot stand it, and they think it was a big mistake, etc. So,
yeah,
it's a big potpourri.
Ken, how do you see it's changed?
Change, I think everything was positive for them, except when they took the costumes off. I just don't think that worked. I know they gave it their best effort. I don't think that was the direction that the country wanted them to go in, their fans. And they quickly got back into it. And I don't see a downtime for Kiss. To me, it's 40 years of brand new rock and roll. They brought an aspect to rock and roll that wasn't there. The actual comic book heroes. And they brought an entirely new group of people in that were interested in both rock and roll and comics. So to me, Kiss is a 100% positive growth for the 40 years.
Robert?
I think my perspective might be a little different because when I first started working with primarily Gene, this was around the Alive 3 era, and there was a lot of things that were very uncertain. But also, it was a time where Gene and Paul were very accessible. I had a pager where Gene would call me multiple times a day, you know, to the point I would laugh with my girlfriend at the time, because like, okay, it's 3 a.m., how long do you think it's gonna be before Gene calls? Sure enough, 12 minutes later, Robert, in the morning, we have to get some carob chip muffins. What? Yeah, carob chip. Remind me that we need to get carob chip. Now, this is funny because when I first moved to LA, I'm a New York City kid. I didn't know how to drive. And Gene had just gotten his license. So he's like, I'm gonna pick you up at 6 a.m. We're gonna go get bagels, carrot chip muffins, this kind of thing, and then we're gonna go to my guest house, and we're gonna work on Kisstory today. I mean, so you can imagine as a Kiss fan, being given that kind of a phone call and having your mentor, superhero guy pick you up outside your apartment, drive you around. Hey, have you ever had In-N-Out Burger? No, Gene. It's a very good. Let's try an In-N-Out Burger. I mean, this was the kind of stuff that was happening. I mean, he and I were very close for a while. But then when the on MTV Unplugged thing started happening, things started to change. And I would hear from him literally probably 3-4 times a week on average, until the day came where they sold out Tiger Stadium. I still have all my voicemails and stuff to this day from those times. And I'll never forget when he called me and left a message, Robert, Detroit, Tiger Stadium, sold out, 47 minutes, we're back, click. And it was like unbelievable. It was like a religious experience. Like all of a sudden, they're back. And just that anticipation and being involved in that from a fan's perspective. I saw the Revenge Alive 3 era Kiss evolve into the reunion Kiss, and it was a very, very different animal.
And Lynn, what do you think? How has the band changed over the years?
I think instead of me saying how the band has changed, for the book, I interviewed Gene and Paul because I wanted you all to have original quotes. So I'm going to read you something now from Paul, which totally addresses this question.
Yeah. That's a hot picture, too.
After we did the solo albums, we decided to each use the color of the aura that was on each of our albums. Mine was purple. It was all wrong. We went off the rails for quite a while. It felt right at the time, but looking back, we were lost. In that moment, we didn't realize we had given up our hunger and our edge. We were becoming more concerned in attracting a larger following. It was calculated in sanitizing who we were. We were on the verge of becoming a Vegas act. What had started off as a rebellion of exerting our autonomy and difference from everyone else morphed into being more concerned with public opinion. We forgot why we started doing what we did. We lost our teeth. We were more complacent, comfortable with success, at the expense of what made us successful. Paul.
Nice.
Very nice. Does anybody have any questions that they'd like to ask? Anybody? Yeah.
I got one for Lynn. Digital or the old days in the 70s with film? What do you prefer?
He says digital or the old days of film?
Especially. I mean, when I put this book together for Kiss, because, you know, first of all, they didn't have the lighting that they have now, the amount of light coming at you. But in those days, to shoot action, I loved photographing Kiss in concert. Unlike, let's say at the time it was hip, you know, to be a fan of whether it was James Taylor, Bob Dylan. Those are really boring artists to shoot, okay? Kiss was like, Kiss and the Stones for me were the best. But you had to shoot at really fast shutter speeds because they move and things are happening. So digital today for concert work enables you to make images that really weren't possible. You had to throw a flash on your camera because there wasn't enough light. And so you lose that drama of being there. On the other side of the coin, it gives you teeth as a photographer, stealing from Paul's word, in terms of really knowing what you're doing and not just putting your camera on some automatic ISO to get there.
John, did you sense as the band's popularity was waning into like 1980? I mean, could you feel that the band was feeling that they were losing that popularity?
Yeah, there was a lot of things involved with their decision making that I wasn't privy to, but you could see that there was, for a lack of a better term, turmoil. They weren't quite sure of certain directions. You know, there was trouble within the band, you know, with bandmates, and which happens to all bands, but it seemed to be becoming a bigger problem than we all anticipated. And yeah, there was changes, and whether they chose the right thing, well, I don't know. But they got through it, and they're still here with us. You know, the fans are loyal to them, and that's pretty much all that matters.
And how much? What's your book going to cover? First of all, when does your book come out?
We're shooting for December.
And what's going to be the basis of it?
My experience is working with the band. I'm going to interview people like Dennis and people that I worked with on the road. And we're going to storytell, basically.
Yeah.
You know, and we'll have some pictures that have never been released. And it'll be the concepts of what we as employees dealt with them. The things that come up on the road that you don't normally think about. You know, a lot of the fans have a concept that, hey, it's really great to work with kids. In a certain aspect, it is. But then again, it was my job. So there's things there that weren't as savory as you may expect. And everybody isn't nice every day.
Yeah.
You got 4 guys, 4 individuals, plus the road crew. Guaranteed on any given day, somebody's having a bad day. And it transfers to everybody else.
Right.
You know, and that's what you deal with. You know, and then there's logistical matters to come up with. And you know, somebody's not ready to leave yet, so you gotta send a car back for them. And if somebody to go get them. So that's all part of work. The glamour part was once they're on stage, we could all get a little sigh of relief.
Yeah.
Okay, we got 60 minutes to relax.
Dennis, have you ever thought about writing a book?
Yeah, I've thought about it many, many times. Dennis is very, very lazy. I just don't want to get it together. I think about what I would have to do to put together what I'd like to put together. And it's daunting, to say the least.
Now, do you have concepts from albums that were just not approved, that are
Yeah,
completely
sure.
different?
Oh, yeah.
Will those ever see the light of day?
One of the first interviews I did years ago was a young lady who had a magazine, a Kiss fanzine, called Kiss This.
Oh, yeah.
What was her first name? She had a hyphenated name, 3 names.
It wasn't Carol, was it?
Singer Ferris was the other 2 words, and the first name I don't remember. Vivian.
Yes.
And she seemed like a great person on the phone. And I did page after page interviews, and printed in her little fanzine, she asked me that same question, and I sent her some stuff that was never saw the light of day. They're pretty hilarious.
Yeah.
They're pretty hilarious. I did some joke covers also for the band. I did the sappiest kind of Hallmark photograph of trees in the fall. And dewdrops on roses and stuff like that.
That's great.
And then I just put Kiss, and I say September. Because the album was coming out in September or something.
Yeah.
Well, Paul laughed at it anyway. But there were others that never saw the light of day. Sure.
How great would it be to see those?
Yeah.
Yes.
They were trying. Paul wanted one called "Who Dares Wins."
Yeah, I remember.
He wanted to do one like that. Did he subsequently come up with one like that? I don't know. But
Yeah.
that was his title.
Yeah.
And I had a picture of a man whose head was not on, it was cut off, and he was wearing a suit coat, with pinstripes, and a white shirt, and a nice tie, and instead of a pocket square, it was a fish. So I don't know how I put that image together with that title.
Right.
But I did.
Yeah.
So.
Did you have
But,
something?
you remember I said I was drunk a lot, right?
Right. Robert, did you have something to add to that, or?
When I first started working at the Mercury Polygram offices in the city on 50th Street, 8th Avenue, I would come in there, a couple times a week. And sometimes some of the companies that wanted to do Kiss products, in preparation for the reunion tour, would send prototypes to the record company. So one of the guys there said, "Oh, you're the Kiss guy. Look at these prototypes and forward them wherever." So one in particular, somebody had made a custom box, and it said "Kiss My Ass Toilet Paper." And this is a couple years after the Kiss My Ass tribute album, so we laughed at it. I opened it up, and it was a roll of toilet paper that literally was soaked in black ink, with a Kiss sticker that sealed the page. And I lifted this up, and everybody in my office is laughing. But the thing was, it was like whoever did it put it in some sort of black solvent, so it smelled like alcohol. But then it got all over. I had like a tan sport jacket. It got all over my jacket, my hands. I said, "Oh my God, what the hell is this thing?" I threw it away, and it smelled my office for like a day. I couldn't believe it. But another thing came to light. A company had sent a proposal to do Kiss bagels, and what they did was they used food coloring to color the bagels blue, pink, green, and blue. And I couldn't believe it. I said, "Wow!" So. Some of the things we're going to talk about in the book is some of the prototype merchandise that was proposed that was rejected for obvious reasons.
Now, is there anything that was ever rejected that you thought was a good idea?
Oh boy, wow. Yes, there was. I'm going to say that there was a Kiss condom idea a few years before the Kiss condoms actually came out. And the Kiss condoms were multicolored. You could get purple, you could get blue, you could get green, you could get red. And the way that the original company had proposed it, it was basically on a counter display. And it was like 4 rows of, I think it was a 16 count package or something like that. Something really insane. But they did various sizes. And the thing I thought was cute was they had, dragon-sized Gene, and that was for you very well endowed guys out there. But yeah, that's why.
Now, you did a little bit of a Gene impersonation earlier. Give us Gene's impersonation of something that he just doesn't like from the start.
Oh boy. I think with me, there were a couple of things we discussed, and he would stop me in mid-sentence and say, "That won't work. Next," that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.